So you want to build a mud house, but what's it like to live in a mud house? Check it out as I go over what life is like inside a mud house. Let's take a look at what's life like on the inside of the mud house. So if you looked around, you must have realized that we've got plenty of windows in this mud house. We've got one behind me, one to my right, one to my left, and two in front of me. The weather here in Kanchanaburi, Thailand does get pretty hot, up to 44 degrees Celsius. So we did want to make sure that the wind can flow through with ease. Another thing that we did to stay cool is to make sure that the ceiling is quite high. So in this house, we actually put the walls on the side up to 3 meters high, all the way up, making the house, number one, giving it a very spacious feel, and number two, ensuring that the hot air that's trapped on top does not come down here. What most people really love about the mud house is about the way it regulates temperature. And I've measured that in here, temperatures are different compared to temperature outside, about by 3 to 5 degrees cooler, right? So in the mornings, when the sun rises, the back of the house gets slightly hit by the sun. And throughout all the way till about past noontime, the house is still pretty much quite cool. Afternoon times, the sun does hit the mud house from the front of the house, and then the temperature starts to go a little higher. But besides that, I must say what I really love about it is just the way how cool the house just feels. When you're thinking of building a mud house, you do it because you love the environment. You have a deep emotion for Mother Earth, for Gaia. So you want to do as less damage as you possibly can. And that concept goes hand in hand with the next concept I'm talking about, which is minimalism, right? Which is having less stuff, just generally having less stuff around you so that you don't create a greater carbon footprint by constantly buying stuff. Which is also why we have very less space to store things here inside the mud house. So one of the examples is the cupboards. We have just one cupboard for me and one cupboard for my partner. We only have basically two major places to store things in the mud house. One is the cupboard, and the other is a couple of drawers that we have to put other personal things. But there is one third little spot, and that is right underneath this bed over here, right? We've got some extra space to store some things in a box right here. Many would say that there isn't much luxury in the mud house, but I'd say that the most luxurious thing that we have is right over here. This is where we charge our mobile phone, and this is a very special unit as it converts 12 volts of energy, and you can just plug in your USB right over here, and what you get is the ability to charge your phone. It converts 12 volts to 5 volt converter. Remember, the mud house is running on a solar power system. So basically you've got a solar power up on the roof and it's charging a bunch of batteries, right? And instead of wasting the energy going from 12 volt up to 220 and then down to 5 again, this is a direct 12 volt to 5 volt jump. So it allows you to charge your phones, allows you to charge your power bank, which you can then charge your phone afterwards, or basically any device that runs on 5 volts of power. But it's not all of your devices that run on 5 volts of power. Sometimes you need the high level premium power, which is 220 volts. And let's take a look down here at how we have managed that over here. This is an inverter. An inverter converts 12 volts into 220 volts. I'm going to turn it on right here. There we go. And the green light's on. And then you must also notice that there's a small little right over here on my laptop that is saying that my laptop is currently being charged. So they've got 12 volts going up to 220 volts, and then with an adapter of the laptop itself is being brought down to whatever voltage that's required for the laptop. Now, some people might say that it might be better to get a direct converter from 12 volts to whatever voltage your laptop's on. And different laptop brands move up and down. So it can be 16 volts, 15 volts, 19 volts, 20 volts, depends on your laptop. But the disadvantage of that is that that conversion is only specifically for your laptop. You cannot use the inverter. You can't use it like an inverter. Inverter allows you to plug in any device that runs on 220 as long as the wattage is okay. Remember, it's very important to know that you need 1,000 watts or how many watts you require on your inverter, right? That's right. So I'm gonna turn that off, plug that back in so that I can charge my laptop. The luxuries of living in a mud house. So now let's check out the other room in the mud house, the very important room, the bathroom, the toilet. Here it is, the other room in the mud house, which is the bathroom and the toilet itself. Most important is this right here. All the stuff from here goes into a septic tank at the back of the mud house. Besides that, the other additions I have is a big barrel of water right here. This is a traditional Thai style om, they call it om. And it's called a bucket shower, to many of you who don't know how it works. Basically water just comes in here from the main supply system, which is rainwater harvested at OurLand, by the way. And we just scoop all that, and then you put that on your head, and yeah, you can get nice and wet and have a nice shower, right? We didn't want to have a traditional shower because the pressure wasn't high enough to give us that. And on this side is that other thing that you use every morning, the sink, right? And enough pressure there. And the sink, of course, water from here goes out into a little garden outside the mud house as well. So all the basic elements you require in this 2 meter by 2 meter space. You think you've seen it all. The veranda, the bedroom, and the toilet. But that's not all. Let's head up to that one extra magical hidden little room. This way. This way to heaven. Well, this is our second floor, and not a lot of mud houses have this floor, but we've been fortunate to build this in. And let's go on up. Let's check it out. Welcome to the second floor. We did spend a little extra on building this floor, but it's totally been worth it because it allows us to put in a solar charging station up here. It allows us to have a bed over here and also a table on that side. And most importantly, we also have a balcony with an amazing view. But before that, there's one little thing I haven't told you about in the mud house. And that's the fact that we don't live alone. Living in a mud house means living with nature. And many of us choose to build a mud house because we want to be close to nature. But being close to nature also means all those creatures that are in nature tagging along sometimes. So let's take a look at what creatures I live with in my tiny mud house. Hi, what I'm looking for has got something very special. It reflects ultraviolet light. That is why I'm using a UV fluorescent light over here to catch or to find this creature. Oh, there's one right here. Okay, let me get him out. Let me get him out. Oh, get him out. So I've managed to catch one of these guys, and you can kind of see, I'm going to slowly take off the cap and you can see what it is. As you can see, this is what we call a Chinese swimming scorpion, right? A certain species of scorpion, very small. This is almost an adult, right? Although the sting of this scorpion can last you pain for 6 to 8 hours, right? I've been stung several times by these guys, and I can tell you that they are no fun. And the good thing about having the geckos is that the Tuke geckos really like to eat the scorpions. So you see, it's all just a natural ecosystem taking place here inside the mud house. So this is it, that magical spot in the mud house. The spot that I come to watch wild elephants, to watch the sunset, and just to sometimes sit and appreciate the beauty and all the hard work that's been put into building this mud house. Now, if any one of you are considering building a mud house, I'd say go for it. Why? Because for me, the idea of living inside Earth is a really attractive one. Sometimes when I walk around the house and I touch the walls around me, and I realize that this is a part of Mother Earth. Mud houses all the way.